In this video we're going to have a look at making some hydrangeas. Now for this we're going to use some moulds. I know that usually wherever possible I try not to use moulds if I can help it, but for some things they're so difficult to do freehand that it is a lot easier using a mould. So we're going to have a go with these ones. And I've got two different sizes. I've got like a medium size hydrangea one and a large one, and these are Marvellous Moulds ones, and they are really quite nice moulds to use. So I'm going to use a mix of normal fondant and modelling paste. So you'll see my normal fondant's really nice and soft. My modelling paste is quite firm. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit and I'm going to mix the two together. So the reason we've used a mix of both is that if we use normal fondant on its own, when the flour's dry, they're a little bit more fragile. If you put a little bit of modelling paste in, it just makes them that little bit tougher, so they're less likely to snap and break when you're adding them to a cake. So what I'm going to do is take in my little mould. I'm going to use some corn flour to just lightly dust it. Now I'll put a link up to how I've made my little corn flour duster on the screen, and I'm just going to dab it all over my mould. So you see there's quite a bit of corn flour on there now. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want too much, I'm just going to turn it upside down and tap it off. That should just stop my icing getting stuck, or my fondant getting stuck into the mould, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this out so that it goes over the mould. And I want to roll it out quite thin. So if you have a pasta maker and you want to run it through the pasta maker, that's fine. I don't have a pasta maker, so I'll just roll it by hand. Oh, my board's moving around. So for thickness, you're going to roll it sort of the same thickness as the little lip that's on the side. So if you hold your fondant on the edge of the mould against the edge of the flour, you'll be able to see if it's a little bit thicker than the lip or not. So mine's a bit thick still, so I'm going to keep rolling. So I'm just cutting it down a little bit as it's quite big, bigger than the mould. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just lay it over the top of my mould. I'm just going to push it in a little bit, and what I find sometimes is it's easier to use your little corn flour poof to push it in with, and you'll see, you can see through now where the hydrangeas are. So I'm just going to rub that in. Now we're going to take the rolling pin and we're going to lightly roll backwards and forwards, just slightly rocking the rolling pin backwards and forwards over the cutter. Now if you do it really hard, it knocks your icing out of place and you'll end up with like double lines underneath of where the hydrangeas are. So just keep at it quite light, and you're going to do it until the green starts coming through. So if you can see here, the green's starting to come through, which is what we want. So I'm just keeping working at it. The first couple of times I did press on way too hard, and it just stretched my icing out of the hydrangea bits and it tore rather than coming out properly. So you do need to make sure that it's going through properly. And you turn it the other way too. So you'll see it's coming away a little bit there, so I'm just going to pull it away from my mould. Just keeping hold of the flowers just to make sure they don't pull with the edge in bit. And the good thing about the moulds rather than using the individual cutter is that obviously you can get a few hydrangeas done at the same time. And these are a little bit bigger than the cutters I've got as well, which is nice. And if you're not particularly artistic and good at modelling and things, you'll find these are quite good to use because obviously they come out right for you still. So I'm just going to pull it a little bit, see if I can loosen them. Let's see if we can now get them out. So you just want to pull them really carefully, otherwise you'll stretch them. Okay, so I've got my little hydrangea there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it to dry in a little paint palette that I've just got. You can use anything that's got like a little rounded shape in it to form them. So if I put them like that, they're going to cup upwards and look a little bit more realistic. So I'll do a few like that. Okay, so I'm going to make some more, and I'll make some bigger ones as well as these ones, and I'm going to leave them to dry. I'll probably just leave them overnight to make sure they're properly dry, and then what we'll do is we'll add them to the cake. So I've given these a bit of time now to dry, so they've gone quite hard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust a bit of colour on them before I stick them on my cake. So I've just got a rainbow dust one here in a pink colour, and I'm just going to dab a tiny bit on my brush and then dab the excess into the lid. Okay, and I'm going to start in the centre and just brush outwards. And it's quite nice in that the mould has left quite deep veins on it. So when I'm putting the colour on, I don't know how well you can really see it on the camera, but the colour's sticking a lot to the veins, which looks quite nice. So obviously you can add whatever colour you want. I've just chosen like a pale creamy yellow colour for my flowers, and then a bit pink. So you can start from the middle, or if you prefer you can dust them from the edge. Again, I'm not sure how well you can see in the light in here if I dust them from the edge, so whichever you prefer, we'll do both so you can see what they look like. It's got a bit of sparkle to it as this one, which makes the flowers look really nice. And I'll keep doing that with all of them. Okay, so now we've got our flowers painted up and dried, what we're going to do is stick them to our cake. And I've just got a piping bag with some royal icing in. It's quite a thick consistency. I do have a video on making piping bags, so I'll put the link up to that now. I'm just going to put a little bit of royal icing on the back of my flower, and then I'm going to push it into place where I want it on my cake. And I'm just going to fill my cake around like that. So because we've done a couple of different sizes, we'll do some of the medium-sized ones and the bigger ones. And we'll just keep going all the way around till I've sort of filled the ledge on my cake. And then what you can do is, if you want, just using the royal icing, is just pipe some dots in the centre of each flower just to give them a little bit more detail. So just 4 dots in the middle of each. Thank you for watching.
If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.